record on this computer. All right, welcome. Show me your drink and cheers.
I'm not drinking tonight. Sorry, just water.
Water is fine. You can drink anything you want. It's really just an excuse to get together and talk. And I know a lot of you have books or you want to write books. And that's why Laura and I put this together, because we're super passionate about books. I personally could not have written my first book without the help of Laura. Laura, introduce yourself.
Okay, I had to find my unmute. So yeah, I'm Laura Petersen. If you haven't met me yet, I see a lot of, like half of you guys I totally know already and adore, and the other half I'm so excited to get to know better. And if you hear a little baby in the background, I've got a 7-month-old. But yeah, I'm just like a big nerd for business and writing and books. So I'm just happy to be here and help in any way possible. So today, I think it's kind of low key and just like any Q&A, we can just dive into stuff, and yeah, let's go.
Yeah, and so I guess I should introduce myself too, because I am hosting the call, but like Laura, I only know half of you. So probably half of you came in as Laura's friend, half of you came in through my friend. Some of you guys know us both, but I'm Allison Melody, and my whole entrepreneurial journey started really with a film production company, but I found my voice when I started a podcast, and I always wanted to write a book, but I had all of the things like, oh, who are you to write a book, and all of the imposter syndrome stuff, which Laura Petersen talked me out of, and I made a book out of my podcast. So my book features people who have been on my show who have healing stories to share, and so it's just a great model that anyone can do. If you're like, I'm not ready to write like the biggest novel in the world, there's a lot you can do by sharing other people's stories. And so we're all on lockdown right now. I'm drinking a little too much. I got a little extra time on my hands, and girl wants to write another book. I know a lot of you guys want to write your books, and so let's do it together. Laura and I are going to talk about our 14-week program that we're going to do, but tonight's really just about having a happy hour and talking to, I think what I would like to do is ask Laura a few questions myself to get this started, and then we're going to open up to you, and you can just say who you are, what your book is, what you're drinking, what you're feeling, and how we can assist you. Any questions you have.
We're trying to be interactive.
Yes, we are trying to be interactive. That sounded like a movie, like just came in out of nowhere. I was like, where did that voice come from? It was very...
I know, Billy, why don't you show us your face?
All right. I'm not wearing a shirt, though, so.
Hey.
Let me see. Start video.
That's what quarantine is.
I love it.
All right, guys. So I'm going to get started just asking Laura, like, what are some of the things? So Laura has published multiple books, and she's helped so many people get that coveted best-selling author status. And so she knows her stuff. And I just want to know, Laura, like, what are some of the things that becoming a published author has led you to in your life, in your business?
Yeah. So there's just a magic around books that I think is in the zeitgeist of society more so than other things. And so I think that if you take advantage of that, it's just yet another instant credibility factor that most people see as credible and authority. And plus, if you do take the effort to actually write your thoughts into a book, you're proving and showing the world that I am serious. I want to be seen as an expert. I have put some incredible information down in an organized fashion. So it is something that should be valued. And then once you have a book, then you're able to get more podcast interviews, talk to June about that too, and get more media attention. Like some of you guys might know Saba Ali is one of my case studies and good friends. And she, because she had a book, was able to get on live local television like 3 or 4 times. She's done 2 TED Talks. She speaks all around the world. Oh, she's 23, by the way, at this exact moment. So age doesn't matter. You're not too young. You're not too old. It's just really a great leverage point to get a lot more media attention and opportunities, but then also to attract more leads and get more clients. Because Amazon is in the top 10 most visited websites on the planet. So there are people searching because they have problems for solutions, and they find you and you're able to solve that problem. It's a great way for them to spend, let's say, $1 to $20, depending on your price point, if you have Kindle and print, to get to know what you can offer and then lead into hiring you. And then in terms of paid speaking, connect with June afterwards if you want a verification on this. But June has actually told me about how, I hope that you don't mind my sharing your open books. I think you're good. Yeah. Right. June is a professional speaker who gets paid 5 figures for a speech, like really incredible. And he shared an experience where he was out in the circuit and another speaker was getting paid more than he was. And he was like, wait a second, I'm getting all the 5-star reviews. People are just like raving to hear from me. How come this other guy who is not as maybe even experienced in speaking or is getting as great reviews, why is he getting more money per speech? And I forget who it was in the event organizers or the National Speaker Association said, this guy's got multiple books and you don't yet. So just the books alone is sometimes the entry point to even get speaking gigs on stage, and then to be able to command a higher price as well if you're looking to doing speaking. So I could talk about it for hours, but it opens up a lot of doors.
All right, well, we're going to have June come in and be one of the first people to talk about how to get those speaking gigs off the books that are paying that good money, because the girl needs to know. But I would love to just see a show of hands. Who already has a book? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6, 7 of us about. Who doesn't have a book but is like, I'm ready to write one this year? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, probably the majority of us. For those of you who went like this, is it just because, like, think about what your question is. Like, if you're like, I'm not sure, I want to know why you're not sure so we can answer those questions. So let's open it up. If you are not sure, tell us why and ask us a question. Like, what is the reason you're not sure? I see who just unmuted themselves. All right, Cynthia, what are you unsure about?
Hi, I was typing it in, but yeah, I was just unsure as far as exactly the topic and how to like hone it in so that it's a little not too overwhelming, I guess. Trying to, yeah, and see what would be like most. There's a few topics that I'm interested in writing on. I just which information would be most pertinent and how to present it, I guess. So I feel like I have a little more to learn on that.
I agree with you. I understand. I've got like 14 books in me, and I was always like, where do I start? And for me, I was forced into what happened to me because I started with a publisher and I ended up not liking that contract. And so while I was waiting out the contract, I wrote another book and self-published. So sometimes the universe tells you. But I will say that for something like, if you want to tell people a little bit about what you do, so that Laura can give you her take, it's like, you might have a lot of books in you, but for you, it's like, where would people start? What is the beginner level for what you do? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that and what you do.
Okay, well, I'm a physical therapist, so I see a lot of neurological cases and a lot of Parkinson's disease or other diseases, progressive diseases. So as far as people starting, there's like a wide range of how you present, especially Parkinson's. That's like my specialty. So that's kind of why I think I'm a little tripped up. It's not a set point because there's so many different kind of symptoms and presentations that I can present with, kind of like COVID, like lots of variations. So it's not one set like, protocol. Yeah.
And what was the goal?
Jump in for Cynthia and for anybody who's got that problem, because trust me, I could write about a lot of different things. I would say, one, recognize that, like Allie was saying, you can write multiple books. So whatever you pick, the first one is not like, oh, you're done, no more. So take that pressure off your shoulders a little bit. Like let's say you have a 10-book series and you like, of all the things you could write about, just pick the first one. So recognize that. And then for choosing which one would be the first one, I would just say, what is your top goal this year, or like on the horizon? Like, what is your main thing? Do you want to get more clients? Do you want to get more speaking gigs? Do you want to just get something out of your head because you just feel you have to? So there's no right or wrong answer, but whatever is that top priority, that will lead you to the first topic to start with. Get that done. Then you'll see, like Kelsey, who's now on her 3rd book, once you start doing it, you're like, oh, I can do this. Oh, it's not as hard as I thought. Oh, okay. And you start to see the snowball go. And then your 2nd, 3rd, 4th, millionth book will come a lot faster after that.
Who else had a hesitation? I want to address those right off the bat. Who else was like, I don't know. Yeah, go. Billy?
Yeah, so I know this is going to be a slam dunk for Laura and you guys because I know you're dressed, but one of my hesitations is like I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and so background. So I do cybersecurity. So I focus on helping small companies develop a cybersecurity program. So I have a lot of experience. I know what I'm doing. People are paying me, so like, yay! I mean, it's a little rougher right now, but the thing is like I get caught up in the idea of like I don't want to say what's already been said, but everything has been said, right? If South Park said like The Simpsons did it, hilarious, right? But it's kind of been like that. And one of the guys that I'm like, like LinkedIn buddies with, and I've worked with him on a couple things and talked to him, like I just cannot stand the guy, killing it with books right now, and I'm just like, but so I'm like, all right, well I need to read his book. I need to read some other ones around like cybersecurity for small businesses and try to come up with something where I feel like I'm not just kicking a dead horse, where I can add my own view on it. And so I know I just got to get there and do that, but it's slowing me down because I want to be a perfectionist around it.
I'm a total perfectionist. I understand. Laura had to help me get out of my perfectionist ways. And so I will let Laura speak to that because I don't know how she did it, but she did it. But what I will say to you is like, no matter who's done it before, no matter who's doing it now, no matter who's going to do it in the future, you are going to bring your own set of skills, abilities, passion, and your history, like what you've been through to the table. So your story and the way that you tell it, even if it's scientific facts, is going to be different from how someone else did it. And people are going to be drawn to it because they're drawn to you. And so what I always say when people are like, what should I write about? What should I post about? Some of my students who are on this, you've heard this a million times, so I apologize, but hopefully this is helpful for anyone who doesn't know my philosophy yet, is everything that you write, when you are writing it, are you moved by that message? Does that message move you? Does it make you learn? Does it educate? Does it inform? Does it inspire? Does it make you laugh? Does it make someone cry? Does it prove a point that no one else is making? Like, how does it move you? And then it will absolutely move the reader, because if you're moved by it, it will move someone else. And so I don't care who else has done it, because you have the capabilities within yourself to do it different, to have your flair and your individuality added into it. And I'll let Laura address the rest. That's just my little spiel.
Yeah, I think there's lots of levels to that. But one thing I would say is there are a lot of people doing the same thing that you're doing and charging and getting clients for it. So should you not do it then? Should you not even like have a business because there are other people doing it?
I mean,
Obviously,
I get you.
yeah, but I mean, obviously, answer is no. Like even the guy you talked about in LinkedIn, you said you don't really like him, like you don't whatever, like you just don't vibe with him. There are other people out there who completely vibe with him, but they're like another half that are like, this dude, I don't know, but they would be drawn to you and your stories and your examples and the way that you break it down and explain it. So there literally is no one else on the planet who can do it like you. Therefore, you should.
Right. It's literally my sales strategy is me telling stories and getting to know someone telling stories. It's that separate piece of like, oh yeah, I can tell a story, but I'm talking to a wide audience, which most of my clients are similar-ish, but me being extremely social, I want to know exactly what they want to know, and I can tell them. Like I can create rapport with people quickly, but like talking to a blank audience, and June, since you're a guy who like talks public speaking with people, you might have the same idea, like where I feel like I can just go just a couple people, I can just go run the thing, talking for a full room. Like, how am I addressing everyone's situation? Am I making everyone like me? There's this weird little Leo extrovert thing that I have, where a book feels like I'm just throwing it out there, but I'm not really, I feel like I'm not seeing my audience, gauging reaction and adjusting, right?
But maybe could you boil down the types of people you see into like archetypes, maybe like 4 or 8 or 10 archetypes, like people that tend to fit into certain patterns. And then you could write and use even made up persona as little case studies to illustrate the scenario. So then it's, as the person's reading, they're like, oh, I totally identify with them. Like, I'm over analytical and I get that one. Or, oh, I really identified with the other person because I really just go with my gut and my emotion or whatever. So you could maybe still address all the different types by boiling it down to some personas that you tend to see and still be able to get that out.
And based on that, I have a lot of different clients from different industries and different ways of looking things. That makes complete sense. I just took notes in notepads because I'm a tech nerd. And I'll let someone else talk now.
Well,
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Billy. The last thing I would say to you and anyone else is whenever you write or, whenever you speak, perhaps on a podcast or whatever you're doing, speak and write to your most loving reader, to your most loving listener. It is not your job right now to convince your non-fans why they need to believe and buy into what you are selling, right? If you believe it, you will attract the other people who want to learn more about it, who are just a few steps behind you and whose mind you're blowing right now. Don't write and don't speak to those people who you feel like you have to fight against and convince, because then your book is not going to come across the way you want it to. So always try to think about that. Like if I'm writing something and I'm thinking like, oh God, my friend's husband in North Carolina would call bullshit on this. I'm not writing to him. This book is not for him. He will never read it. I am writing to my most loving reader, the person who really needs my take on something the most, my healing journey. This guy is not going to take that healing journey, so I'm not writing to him. And I don't need to convince anyone of anything, right? Who else said, I don't know? I just want to address those right off the bat. Like, I don't know if book writing is for me, or I don't know if I can do it. Was there anyone else? All right, good, guys. Okay, so Laura, I'm going to ask you one more question, and then I want to hear more from everyone here about, what you're up to, what your questions are, what you're thinking. I think that a lot of people don't understand what the process looks like. And I certainly didn't. And I'm a person that likes to learn all the things before, dipping my toes in. So I know I can make a plan, like what it's going to look like. So could you quickly take us through what 14 weeks, and you guys can make your own time up, okay? You got to do what works for you. But Laura and I have kind of put together what it would look like in 14 weeks for you to write, edit, publish, market, and become a best-selling author in 14 weeks. Some of you might need to take longer. I know I certainly did. Some of you might be like, I already got this written and I just need the marketing. Great. Then you might have, a shorter time period. But what would it look like, Laura, from start to finish to go for 14 weeks?
Yeah. So as we were mapping it out, and I don't have it right in front of me to give you guys precise deals, but we were planning to do the writing part in 6 weeks or less. And that may seem like OMG really fast to some people. To others, like Kelsey and myself, that's like maybe kind of slow. Yeah, because we're like, oh, we did it way faster. But don't worry, we can actually get you to do that. So in 6 weeks, because like if you give yourself too big of a deadline for things, it'll take that big deadline. So if you're like, oh, I need to write it by December, like it's going to take you till December. But if you're like, I'm going to get this thing done in 6 weeks, you're going to get it done in 6 weeks. And we're going to give you examples and tools and all this kind of stuff to help you out if you join into the program. But anyway, so 6 weeks is a focus on getting it done written, even if you're starting at zero, or even if you've got some like notes all over the place and maybe something started. Then from there, we're going to focus on getting it edited and formatted. You need to get it, it varies in two different ways. So you need it done for Kindle and for print. So there aren't too many huge differences between the two, but they are different. Even the file type that you upload is different. And then also, like for example, on Kindle, everyone's device is a different size. So you're not going to have page numbers or like a running header or any of those things that you have on the print book for Kindle, because it needs to just adjust to the screen, even if someone's reading on a small device or a big one. So there's a couple formatting differences that you need to be aware of for Kindle versus print. And then, so once you've got that done, it's written, it's edited, it's formatted, it's ready to go. You've got the file. Awesome. What I also love to do is a cover design contest. So even if you don't jump in with us on the 14-week program, I highly recommend 99 Designs. So I've done cover designs with Fiverr for cheaper, but it took a lot more of my coaching them of what exactly I wanted. With 99 Designs, it's $299, and you will get like over 100 designs, and they're really, really good. It's insane. And then what we do is we then take screenshots of ones you like, put it on one image using canva.com for free, put it out to your social media, and ask people to vote and give you feedback. One, it's valuable feedback, but two, even if you don't care anyone's actual opinion in terms of like picking it, you will get so much engagement, like it'll blow your mind. So my number one posts that I ever post on social media are voting posts on visual stuff for books, period. And it's psychologically a sneaky but not sleazy way to start promoting and marketing your book, because people are feeling involved in the process, and you're not like, hey, go buy it, because it's not even there yet. And they feel like they're actually helping you out by picking the title or picking the design, or should I put my photo on the front or the back? Help me decide all these different things. So we're absolutely going to do that because it's super fun and a great way to start building momentum with the launch. And then we're going to launch the Kindle book first. So I highly recommend launching Kindle first for a lot of reasons. Number one is you can reduce the price down to 99 cents and still be in the paid version on Amazon, versus they have a free books giveaway and then paid. So you can, with 99 cents as lowest, you can have it to be on the paid version. And then we're going to do a big fun push launch and try to hit number one in lots of categories on the day that you decide to go public with the book. And that is actually way easier than you ever thought possible. But I personally still think it's a worthy goal to achieve. So for example, I had 33 sales when I hit number one with my, my first book, this one in podcast and webcast category. This was back in 2016. And since then I've become pretty dang good at researching the category. So I even had a past client of mine hit number one in a super relevant category. This was not like a scam, with like 5 sales. It was just like insane. So Amazon has just so many categories that, and you can actually get yourself into up to 10. Most authors make the mistake of just picking 2 inside of their KDP account, and then Amazon just automatically with their little algorithm slots you into 3, and they're usually really competitive. But you can actually get an up to 10. All you have to do is reach out to tech support after you do your research, which is we're gonna go. I don't want to give away, or like I don't mind sharing, but I don't want to like take up the whole time telling you all the details. But you can get into up to 10.
For hours on this.
I know, right? And then if you do a big launch like we're going to teach you, then you can even hit number one in some of the parent categories above it. Like Kelsey, shouting out again, I think she hit number one in like 16 categories on her launch day. So her 10, and then she started ranking in the parent ones above that. So it was really, really exciting and fun. And then what I love to do is like take a break for a couple weeks, make sure your print book is formatted and perfect, and order an author copy so you get it in the mail and it says not for sale on there, but you get to flip through it and like make sure it looks perfect how you want. And then we'll do another launch with the print book version, so you have another excuse to get out in front of your audience and do marketing and stuff, but you're kind of spreading it out so you're not like bombarding your fans and friends and family. And then what we're also going to talk about is how to get your book in Barnes and Noble's system so that you can do book signings at the locations. So this is actually super possible. I did it for a past client. His name is Jimmy, I'm forgetting Joel Colson. And he lives in Las Vegas. And I was like, okay, I'll call the Barnes and Nobles for you because I had never done it before. And I was like, let me see, are they going to be like, hang up on me? Because they're like, you need to have sold 1 million copies or we don't want to talk to you. Each 3 of the locations in Vegas were like, oh, we'd love that. Okay, all you have to do is get in the system, make sure it's, notated like this, and like, we'll get you on the calendar. Yeah, because they want attention into their stores. So it was like, oh, that's all? I'm like, does he have to have sold 5,000 copies before or anything? And they're like, no. So anyway, then we're going to do that too. So really from no idea all the way to Barnes and Noble book signings, we're going to go through it all in 14 weeks. And yeah, it's going to be fun.
And my guess is that after the COVID restrictions are lifted, Barnes & Noble is going to be begging to have us in there.
Seriously.
So I'll be there with you, because one of the things that Laura and I were working on right before this hit was my Barnes & Noble tour. And obviously that did not happen, but it will. So whoever comes on this journey with us on the 14 weeks, I will do it with you, and we can go do our book tours together, or at least plan them together. So it'll be really fun. And I want to go back to something that Laura was talking about, because I feel like if you hear like, I can make bestseller with 30 sales or 5 sales, you're like, that's awesome for the clout, but what about the money? Okay. Let's just be real right away. You're not going to make $1 million on your first book because you're not Stephen King. You might be Stephen King one day. I truly hope you are. I believe every single one of you can be, if that is your desire. That's not personally my desire. My desire is to get my information to as many people that I can in the form of a book. And the best thing that's happened to me with the book is that a lot of people who I know, who I've known my whole life, who don't understand what Allie's doing in California with this crazy podcasting thing, because I don't know what a podcast is, all of a sudden found me legitimate when I became a published author and had a book. They read my story and they're like, I had no idea what you went through, and that the body was designed to heal itself, and all of these stories were possible. I couldn't reach them with the podcast, but I could reach them with the book. And so that was my goal with the book. Now, can you make money as a self-published author with a book? Absolutely, but you have to have something on the back end. So that can look like a lot of different things. You can leverage it for speaking gigs, like Laura was talking about June earlier. Maybe you can go from being a $500 speaker to a $5,000 speaker once you have that clout. Depends on who you're pitching to and how much they value you being a published author. For me, what I did was I put a course on the back end of the book. So whenever people buy the book, they can opt in to take my free 5 Steps to Food Freedom course. And I give them a free video training course that's complimentary to the book, which leads to a nurture sequence, a nurture campaign of emails and videos, so that they hopefully go and purchase my course, my full course, which is a 3-week course called Food Freedom. And so be thinking about, when you're writing your book, what is something complimentary that I could create for my readers online so that I can make money off of the sales of my book? Because yes, I get Amazon checks. Laura Powers has, how many books do you have now? Amazing. She gets Amazon checks. But they're not enough to write home. Like, they're not going to pay for an exotic lifestyle right now, right? And so you have to have something to sell off of the back end, unless you become as popular as, Brene Brown. And I hope that you all do. And I know that we all will at one day. But right now, we still got to keep the lights on. And so that's something that we all can be thinking about when writing our book. What services can we offer? What products can we offer? I love an online course because you can make it evergreen, or you can make something consistent where you meet every month, just like Laura and I are going to do with this best-selling book 14-week course that some of you guys have already enrolled in. I don't see everyone. Oh, I think I can't see everyone right now, but a couple of people who are going to join this call have enrolled, so that's exciting. So just something to be thinking about. Hit that bestseller. You will make sales. Have a party when we're allowed to party again. That was my favorite part of my whole book launch, was having an in-person party. And then we'll do a book tour together. And there's ways to do online book tours too. So we're going to talk about that. But thank you, Laura. I would love to open it up to some of you guys. Like, let's start with, if you already have a book and you want to tell us a little bit about what a book has done for you, because it's different for everyone. So maybe Kelsey or Laura, do you want to share what having your books has done for you and your career and your life and helping people?
Sure, I'll share. So I wrote my first book in 6 weeks. I was pretty new as a psychic, which was my new work at that time. And I had booked a talk at a library talking about angels. And I was like, I feel like I need to have something to sell, share, show. And so, I wrote my book in 6 weeks, and I had no training at that point. I just got it bound at a local print shop. And then, after I had it written, I went and figured out, okay, now how to package this to make it like a real book, look like a real book in terms of, what it looked like. But that just kind of got me started. And that was the only book where I didn't make money right away, because every other book after that I pre-sold, and I did the kind of things that Laura's talking about, where I got buy-in and started asking people for their opinion, and I did pre-sales, and I would often package it with, like, you get the book and then you get a discount on like a package of, sessions or something. And so the amount that just the book has brought in is really just like a tiny part of what each book has done for me. And plus each book that I've written, it's like people are like, oh, you're an expert in that. So suddenly it's like people are thinking of you in that category, and people discover me from my books all the time. And because I have high dollar, clients, a lot of my clients end up becoming my clients for years, and they'll literally spend thousands of dollars with me. So it's like a really good return on investment in terms of like my ability to connect with people. And it's really fun. Like, I think it's great to feel like, hey, I wrote all this. It's great. So I'm super fan of writing books and encourage everyone to do it.
Yeah, I love the model that you've set up. It's absolutely brilliant. So if you have something like Laura where you can coach people on a regular basis, you can think about also offering something for free. Like, okay, she could offer a free coaching call, I could offer a free course. And that one free thing that you offer, think about the lifetime value of that customer. It's called LCV. You can look that up if you want, but the amount of return customers that you have over time can lead to a very, lucrative income when you have enough of those. And so I think the more that you pour your heart and soul into a book and then give as much free stuff as you can, the more value that you're able to create, then the more people will become your super fans for life and keep coming back to you. Thank you, Laura.
Can I just
go ahead.
add one thing?
Yeah.
So anything that you can do, like we were talking about, June, for you, with speaking, anything can get you to like rise above the sort of fray and like other people and help you stand aside, especially now when there's so much competition, is great. So I know one of the things that helped me, I was booked on Will Ferrell's Ron Burgundy podcast, and they were looking for a psychic and they invited me on the show. And I know that having several books made me feel legitimate. It was like, hey, not a lot of psychics have a book. I mean, there are some, but it's not that common. So I think to get some of those like big prestigious things that, by the way, are super fun, but also help you with building your platform as a whole, having a book or books is like super, super important.
Yes. I love your energy. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Does anyone else want to share? Anyone else that's had a book? I know a few of you guys, Kelsey, Chris, anyone want to share?
I do. I've written a book, and it made a huge difference in what I did. I was doing speaking once I wrote the book, that really established credibility. And so I would be doing a lot of speaking. My book was, I believe, the first book ever on LinkedIn, Mastering LinkedIn in 7 days or less. So I was doing a lot of work with companies and their sales teams and entrepreneurs. And it was going really well. And then one day I got a phone call from organization saying, we're looking for a LinkedIn expert. We see you've written a book. Now, could you come in on, we started talking about the dates. It wasn't, tell me about yourself. As we see you wrote a book, you're the expert. Can you come in?
Brilliant. I mean,
Yes.
That's such a good point. Look what Jan did. She got very specific with helping people with LinkedIn, probably at a time when people most needed it. And I think that's brilliant. So if you're like, I'm not sure where to start or what to write about, what is very timely that you can get specific about right now? Laura Petersen, that's something that she did, was copywriting for podcasters. That is so specific, right? So it's like, how?
I can't tell you that I've made a lot of money on it, but I've spoken on stage at podcasting conferences around the globe now. And to me, that's what I wanted. Like, that's a win. So.
Of course. Yeah. So I think examples like Jan's and examples like Laura's, how timely and specific you can get, then that could lead to a lot of really cool things in your business. Anyone else want to share?
I'm happy to go.
All right.
Hey, everyone. Nice to meet you all. I'm Brian Sachetta. I actually got into this group through Laura's Facebook group. So thanks for inviting me, Laura. I wrote a book, came out at the end of 2018. It's called Get Out of Your Head. It's a book about living with and overcoming anxiety. I would say overall, it's still like day to day, it's still, you got to continue to build the business. You got to write blog posts. You got to get yourself out there. So there's a lot of activities that are involved with writing a book. But in general, I would say like the coolest thing for me is like people will send me messages on Facebook and LinkedIn. I'm not saying it happens every day, but they'll be like, hey, like I just read half of your book. I've struggled with anxiety my whole life. You gave me these 3 strategies that were like so helpful for me. And I'm trying not to toot my own horn, but I do like almost cry every time I hear that. And that sort of thing is just like really awesome for me, thinking about, like in high school and college, how much I struggled with it myself, being able to give back. So that's really cool. I will say to everyone that's, thinking about writing a book, I would definitely go for it. It can be challenging. There's a lot of steps involved. I actually had somebody come out with a book of the same title in the same genre a couple months ago. She's actually been in the top 10 on all of Amazon. So it's been, there's been a lot of frustrating parts about this, but overall, I think if you write about something that you're passionate about, and you focus on, helping people specifically, even if you go through those trials, you're like, and at the end of the day, it's worth it. So, yeah, it's been cool.
Oh my gosh. I love that so much. It goes back to what I said earlier, like Brian is moved by his message, and that there's no shame in that. You're moved. And so other people are too. So you get those emails and you're like, oh, I made a difference. I feel like that's what we're all here to do. Like we have a passion and we have something that we need to share, and we just want to make a difference. And that's what you're doing with your book. Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. It's I kind of follow Brendan Burchard, and he's like a big personal development person, and he kind of flips it on people and saying, instead of looking at it as in like, who am I to write a book? Think about the message that you have and say, who am I to not write this book?
Right.
Who are the people that I am holding back information from, help from, that sort of thing.
Exactly. That turns it on you to make it your responsibility. So I had a conversation with about this on my show with Gabrielle Bernstein, because she said, if you're thinking, who am I to do this? It's like, if she hadn't written her first book, thousands upon thousands of people wouldn't be sober today because she decided to write a book. So think about the future people that you can affect with your book. You might be changing someone's life. And so to hold them back from that, don't do that. It's your responsibility to share this with the world. And you feel it, right? We know when it's burning up inside of us. We're not car salesmen over here who are just trying to make a buck. We have something so innately within us that we have to share. And I feel that with you, and I feel that with myself and so many of you in here who I know. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, it's a great point. Anyone else? Kelsey, maybe?
Yeah, I can share. So I'm in the process of actually launching my 3rd book in like literally any day now, waiting for all of the categories to be updated as we speak. And my books are very unique because my first one is a memoir, and then my other ones are coloring books. So very unique. But I mean, this is a coloring book. Like they're like, I mean, I designed it, but I didn't have to, spend a lot of time writing it. But when I hold this book, like, I don't know, like I'm just holding, like, where's the one that says like, feel all the feels or something? I don't know. But like, when I got this in the mail, I was like moved to tears. I mean, I like Lysoled it down first, but I was moved to tears when I got this in the mail. I was so excited about this. And just for the fact that like, I know I need this in my life and other people might too. And if I can help one person, I mean, I've had teenagers reach out to me saying that they read my memoir about growing up as a road schooled kid and traveling around the country in an RV with my family. And I've had teenage girls reach out to me and say, I know that I'm going to be okay because you're okay. And like, I wish I had that as a kid. I wish that I had been a role model. And I'm just so grateful, like Laura, like seriously, like I get to be a role model to kids. And that, I mean, there's just getting those emails has just meant the world. And I wouldn't be there without you. So I'm just really grateful.
I'm going to cry.
She's making me cry.
No, I mean, look at all the people that you've affected, and like you, I couldn't have done it without Laura either. So it's like when you have accountability, when you have someone that believes in you, it can make all the difference. So if you're ready to write a book, like don't do it alone. Get a partner, get a friend, get a cheerleader, not someone who's like, I don't know why you're doing this, or who are you to write a book? That person is deleted from the phone. Okay. Now, if it's your mother, just social distance. But if it's someone, if you can find someone that can help you, like Laura and Kelsey, like Laura and I, then there's no way that you can't be successful. And Kelsey, your story moves me, and you did help that person. And think about the people that have reached out to you, and think about all the people that you have changed their lives and they haven't reached out to you. Every book I've read, I haven't reached out to the author and gone, you changed my life, right? So think about all the people that you have the power to affect, especially right now when people are really searching for answers and help in all areas of their life. I don't care what your niche is, there's someone who needs help in that. People just want to feel secure and safe and healthy and okay, and that, everything's going to be all right. All right. Who else wants to share?
Lauren asked a question in the group.
Oh, yeah.
About children's books. Sorry, Laura. Does anyone else want to write a children's book? I'm putting my hand up myself. Okay, I see Charlie, Diana, Lauren, Kelsey. Okay, interesting. Very cool. Yeah, I personally haven't done one yet, but I'm like 1,000% going to do it very soon. And I even was thinking about doing it during our little 14-week thing. So maybe even by, July, August, just because I've got a 7-month-old. And so now it's like really on the top of my mind. So, so I could say I personally haven't done it yet, full disclosure, but I'm like all about it. So if you want to just brainstorm ideas or bounce around questions or whatever in the future, let me know. I'm up for it.
And someone was about to share, but I didn't catch who it was.
Oh, it was me. I just wanted to say that I think in this time, it's easy to get lost in the shuffle. And if someone reads a book with you, or one of your books, they're way more likely to engage with you than this if they read a blog post or, just follow you on Instagram or something. So, and I'm finding that myself, like now during this lockdown, I read a lot on my stationary bicycle. And like, I have reached out to several of those people to invite them on my show, several of those authors that I had no connection with before. So I feel like what can come from creating a book versus blogging or some of these other things, which are great. I'm not trying to say they're not, but I feel like the impact is just really strong.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Who else wants to share? It can be anything. Charlie.
Yeah. Hi, guys. I actually already wrote a book. Here it is. It's called Deny Your Instincts to Survive. I published it January 1st. Around New Year's resolutions was the idea. I grew up in a family where my dad made sure we cleaned our plates, and my mom never cooked anything that grew in its natural form. So it was really hard to learn healthy habits as an adult. And so I just wrote about my journey essentially, and then put discussion questions. But I am a little discouraged now because in the beginning when I launched, friends and family bought it, and then it just kind of tanked. And so would love to hear from y'all about, do I relaunch? How do I get more interest in the book? How can I reach a bigger audience?
I got a lot to say. Laura, do you want to go? Okay, so this happened to me. It's very similar. I did the big launch in December and everyone was buying it and it was super exciting. And I felt like what some of you guys have mentioned where you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so moved by the messages I'm getting. And then I kind of tapered off because I stopped talking about it and there wasn't a big launch party plan in place anymore. And Laura and I were going to work on the Barnes and Noble thing, but we hadn't really established that yet. And I'm working on other things. So the book kind of got quiet. And so then I was like, well, I want more book sales. So what do I need to do here? So I did a few things I'll tell you what I did before COVID and then after COVID. So before COVID, essentially I started telling people, incentivizing people to buy the book with giveaways. And so you can think about, what kind of, Charlie, what kind of reach or audience do you have on a blog or a podcast? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, 0.
Okay, no problem.
I'm a closet Facebook stalker, so a lot of friends on Facebook, but that's about it.
Okay, so you can do individual outreach. So I'm all about, the online networking, individual face-to-face outreach, but obviously social distancing at this point, so not in person. But so what I did was I started doing giveaways where I would offer something. If you buy the book for $17.95, then you're entered to win X, and I would have some products that they could win. You could do this with gift cards. I've seen a lot of people do with gift cards. And then when COVID hit, I was like, okay, I have an online course called Food Freedom. I was giving away 5 steps to food freedom for free already with the book purchase. But I decided for 2 months, which just ended, so it was March and April, that I would give away my entire online course, my 3-week Food Freedom course, to anyone who bought the book during that time. And that's when my book sales started completely going up again, spiking again, because people saw so much value, because people were at home. They had more time. They wanted to take the course. They didn't have to pay $300 for the course. They could take it online for free in the comfort of their home in exchange for $17 book. And the reason I did that is like, I wanted to, I'm like, all right, I want to give back during COVID, but I don't have, what can I give? Well, I can give my course that maybe people right now don't feel like they can afford. And then how can they give back to me? Well, they can buy my book, because that helps the Amazon rankings and that helps get it to more people. And I even said, because a lot of my people had already bought the book, so I said, if you've already bought it, then buy it for a friend and send it to a friend, because maybe there's someone else who we can wake up to the fact that the body's designed to heal itself, and that maybe they would read a story, because it's all a collection of stories of healing. Maybe they would read a story and they would get inspired that, oh my gosh, I have to change my diet to organic, plant-based in order to heal, or whatever it might be. We would be able to inspire people. So I think incentivizing people, whether you have a tribe or not, is the best thing you can do. So if you have just your friends online, what type of giveaway can you do? It can be a digital giveaway, so you don't have to spend a dime. I know people that have gone out and bought Amazon gift cards and things like that for giveaways. If you want to do that, go for it. But I'm trying not to spend money to make money and to make a difference. So if you don't want to do that, you can reach out to people that you may want to work with. So I now currently have a lot of sponsors and affiliates that I've worked with who will send me products if I ask. Now, those relationships took a while to build, but you could start with, hey, I'm doing a giveaway. It's going to be on my social media. I'm going to give away your products and maybe your book as a Kindle, and they have to order the physical book or something like that. You can kind of figure out a deal, and you can start building relationships with brands at the same time. That's kind of where I would start in terms of like how to make the promotion not die. And the other thing you can do is start sharing chapters. So perhaps there are some parts of your book that are good quotes or good chapters that you could share on blogs. You could get interviewed on podcasts about. One of the best marketing things that I've seen in the past 2 years, and especially right now, is getting yourself interviewed on podcasts, doing joint ventures or doing collaborations with other brands and people on blogs, people who your book can offer value to. So people who are doing similar things to you that you can teach someone in a class, in a training just like this. You could do Zoom trainings, right? All of these things can help with revitalizing the book sales. I would say, like, even after I did a social media for podcasting training happy hour with my friend Whitney, kind of like what Laura and I are doing right now. And someone hit me up after and they're like, thanks for the training. I just bought your book. And I'm like, oh, the training wasn't about the book, but just the fact that I sat here, gave some value and drank some wine on a Zoom call, you bought my book. So you never know who's listening and who's watching. So those are just some things to think about. I'm sure there's so many more, but those are what comes to my head right away.
Thank you.
Sure. Anyone else want to share?
Or questions?
Or questions, share. Alicia, what are you drinking? She's my wine gal. Organic, vegan, delicious wine.
Pinot Noir.
Pinot Noir, Scout and Cellar. Okay, so tell us, why are you here? Do you have a book in you? What's going on?
No, I'm here because I wanted to join with Charlie.
Yay! Awesome. Well, you can self-promote your wine company if you don't want to share about books, whatever you want.
Maybe I should write a book about wine. I don't know, but it's all organic wine. It's vegan, no sugar added, low sulfites. So our company finds them, makes sure they taste delicious, and then lab test them.
A coffee table book about wine. I would buy that. I'm just saying. And you have really good pictures on your Instagram. So you could just have like a photo book with the wines and people would buy up the book. Yeah.
And like the little description. So like because I don't know anything about wine, but I would like to. I'm just not interested in reading. Like I used to have that like wine book for dummies, that like giant yellow one, and I never read it because it was too overwhelming. But I like that idea of just like be able to flip and like see the image, and then maybe, hints of whatever, and like its legs are good or whatever the different things are, just like little things the same for each page, but different about each wine. So it's like a fast, almost like a flashcard, but in a more elegant way. I think that'd be cool.
That's a good idea.
I'm down for, I would be on my coffee table, I'm just saying, because you guys know how I feel about my wine. Okay, I'm gonna start calling on people if you're too shy to talk. Tamar, what's going on?
Hi everybody, I'm Tamar. So I do not have a book right now, but I'm trying to increase the listenership on my podcast, and I just started my own coaching business. And so I figured the next best thing to drive my coaching business would be to publish my book. So I'm actually just in the middle of creating a relaunch for my podcast, which is going to get into, well, essentially it'd be the chapters in my book, but it's going to go really deep into my story. And that kind of will go along with the launch of the book, I'm hoping. So I kind of like to blend them together. So I've already got the outline all done up, and then I want to join this so that I can structure it more and have the advice of you lovely ladies, because you haven't steered me wrong yet. So.
Oh, thank you. I mean, having the outline is like half the battle, right? If you have an outline, it makes it so much easier to write the books. You're not sitting in front of a blank page like, I don't know, I had this idea over here and this idea over here. You make an outline and then it just flows. It just makes everything so much easier. So I'm really glad that you have that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Diana.
Hi, everybody. I'm not drinking right now, so it's 0.0, so beer but no alcohol. And I don't have a book yet, but I do want to write one. I think I've mentioned it before that I wanted to write one called Big Setback, Bigger Comeback, about like bouncing back from. But I don't know if I want to focus on like business failures or more like health-wise. But I mean, it can be both. I don't know.
It can be absolutely. I mean, you could have one for each, or it could be both in one. I mean, there's so many possibilities.
Yes. So, I mean, I'm just like, I still haven't decided. So I think that undecision has like stopped me from creating an outline, or like, because like I just love the title, but I don't know the focus. And I don't know if, not that like I'm not allowed to focus on both, but is it the right angle? I don't know if it's the right angle, the right strategy, because I can make it just 2 books instead.
So I'll share with you a little bit about my experience, which was similar. When I first did, you're getting stories from others?
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So very similar to what I did. So with this book, I just started collecting the stories, Diana, and I was like, I'll figure it out later. And what happened was all of the majority of the stories were food healing, even though I had spiritual healing, financial healing, like all these other stories. Okay. But then I realized I had one book right here with food. And I realized that had to be the first book, and it couldn't include the other ones because they wouldn't work. If I had done another book called Something Heals, or like, Heal Yourself, I could have included all of the stories because they would have all made sense under that Heal Yourself umbrella or whatever it might be. But I didn't know until I saw the story. So are you doing, and so now I'm going to do more. I'm going to do love heals, like romantic and self-love stories, financial healing stories. I might do wine heals, you guys. I don't know. We'll see. But like now I have all of these other stories that I can include in future books. So are you right now getting outreach for the stories?
No, I'm not. But I think I should like start to get a timeline of like dates that I should just try to hit those like deadlines for myself. I just have like the idea there that I wanted to do it on 2020.
Yeah.
If this year, but I still want to do it. I want to do it. I have the time.
Well, it's a great title. And especially right now with the pandemic, it's like, that's what everyone wants, right? We want to learn how to bounce back and thrive. So maybe it's like, regardless of what the person's topic is, if they have that story, just have them share it with you. And you don't have to say it's going to be in my next book. You can say, I'm doing a series of books and I would like to share your story. Send me it, give them the parameters, the word count, and then you'll start to see a pattern. And then you can write the outline and you're like, all right, all these stories fit together. This is one book, this is two books. Or collectively, this all makes sense as one book, but you'll see it when you see their stories. I think that you're still in investigation mode, and that's okay. And you don't need to have an outline to do outreach.
Okay.
I love that. I think that's great feedback. The only other thing I would jump in and say too is I love that you mentioned about like a deadline by the end of 2020. I would totally move it up. I love 4 to 8 weeks deadlines, but let's say don't go any further than 4 months, because if something's further away than 4 months, it's like, oh, I'll get to it later. But if it's within 4 months, I feel like it has enough fire under your butt, like, okay, I need to start doing this. And whatever the date is, I would encourage you to make it public and share it publicly. Like, hey guys, my first book is coming out, August 1st or whatever, because you're more likely to let yourself down if it's kept secretly locked in your head than everyone else if you make it public. Then the only last other thing I would say is, whether it's one book or two books, you cannot go wrong unless you do nothing. That's the only way you would lose, is if you don't take action and it just like, okay, now we're talking next year and it's like still you're thinking about it. Trust me, I'm an overanalyzer too. So this is like, I'm saying this out loud to take my own advice in other areas, but you really can't go wrong. But if you put in a deadline, make it public, you'll figure it out, and do what Allie said. I think that was really smart too.
Mike?
Oh, I'm nervous already.
That's good. It's exciting. It's exciting though, right?
All right. Thank you guys.
That was a good line, Laura. Mic drop. Thank you, Diana. Okay, I see Lauren. We haven't heard from Lauren yet.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm actually here with my sister-in-law, Jennifer. She's the one with the book ideas. And so I have the network and the people around me. So I'm dragging her with along, trying to rub off on the entrepreneurial spirit of writing books and creating platforms and stuff. So
yeah, because I am a educator by trade and a university professor at the moment. So I have no entrepreneurial spirit about me. So she's trying to bring it out of me. So
I love that, ladies. It's good to have a partner in crime, right?
Yeah, I don't know if she enjoys it every single day, but no, Jennifer does have lots of ideas for children's books and has a partner that they're kind of exploring some opportunities with some publishers. And so I wanted to put her in front of people who are doing some books and some cool opportunities. So,
well, Laura is the expert for children's books, so that's exciting.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't done one yet. I said I don't want to. I mean, like, I am such an expert in everything. No, I'm just
you
kidding.
just showed me your Instagram for children's books.
Oh, well, okay. So yeah, I started an Instagram. It has nothing on it. Like, I just got the Instagram name, Biz Books for Kids, I think it is, because I'm passionate about children's books now that I have a kid, and having more diversity shown to them in language, nationality, race, gender, all the things, but then also topics. I think kids should learn entrepreneurship, since I'm like so obsessed with it. Like, my kid for sure is going to learn about it. So I was like, okay, well, I can start writing books, and I'm planning to self-publish them for kids and make sure they're super diverse in like all the ways. And then I thought to help me narrow things down, because I literally am like ideas all over the place. I was like, okay, if they're about business, about entrepreneurship in a fun way for kids to understand, that could be kind of my little central point. So yeah, so I'm not an expert in it yet, but I'm definitely like thinking about it all the time.
So you're speaking my language, because my colleague and I that she was talking about, we have Windows and Mirrors book collection, a collection of diverse books at one of our partner elementary schools for that purpose, so that kids are able to read and see themselves reflected in books, and then learn about people who are not like them. So I love your idea for the picture books that are business or for entrepreneurs, because that's, as a person who grew up in a family that my dad was was an attorney and my mom was an educator. So like the business world just wasn't ever something that I learned about or knew really existed. So if
Same
kids
here.
could learn about that through books and picture books, I think that would be awesome. So
That's cool. Yeah, I love that diversity angle. Like Allie and I have private conversations all the time where we're like really pissed just because even in the business world, we've, it'll be like some of our male counterparts will be like, hey, who's the best entrepreneur ever in the world? Pick from this list. And it's like 20 names and like 19 of them are white men. And then there's one not white, but still male, no women. And we're just like, oh my God, like we just get crazy. And so anyway, it's like not just gender. I feel like all representations of things need to have more
voice.
More voice. So yeah, I can get fired up about that. So
me too.
That's why I said you got to come, Laura.
That's awesome. Glad you guys came.
Yeah, so glad. And don't get me and Laura started. Janice.
I know. Look at all these beautiful, intelligent women right here, right now. Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm.
That's right, Charlie.
I'm unmuting you, Janice.
You calling me? Okay, hey. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I'm outside. So, yeah, I don't have a book, but I am really excited because I have a podcast that's just celebrated a year. And I know I'm really excited. And I'm going to be doing another podcast. It's going to be like a Quibi podcast, like the 10-minute quickie podcast as well. That's supplemental. And I'm rebuilding my clients. I used to have a really good client base that sort of fell off a few years ago. And I'm trying to rebuild that. So I've been speaking some, I haven't been really getting paid. I've been just, hoping to get paid eventually. But I think I have a couple of books in me. So, for one, I want to tell my story and the things that have happened to me that helped me become the person I am today. And then I want to do like sort of a fun story from my other, like my side business, which is my Quibi podcast, which is like my pageant side of me. So I think I have a couple of stories in me. And for me, it's just working full time, having a podcast, working on another podcast, having clients, and just having so many hours of the day. I need the extra push and the accountability that this provides, because I'm just trying to next level my life and finally do all the things that I've wanted to do. So that's why I'm here. And I just feel like that this is time. I've thought about this and talked about this for a number of years. So I finally feel that it is time. So I'm excited to be here.
Quick question for you.
Yeah.
So recently Janice mentioned that she put out this podcast that was kind of very personal.
Very.
Did you write that before you spoke it?
Believe it or not, no.
Okay.
Part of the training that I do is to teach people their authentic voice. And I teach people to think in bullet points so that they're able to share their story via speaking or however they want to do it. For me, speaking in podcast and, also my past pageantry. So through being able to bullet point in my mind the things that I wanted to say, I'm able to then speak about it authentically.
Totally. And I support that and I agree with that. The reason I asked was because I listened and it was absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. And maybe you just get that transcribed and that's chapter 1.
Yeah, I use like what you mentioned on Facebook. I do a lot of in my notes. I'll just go walking because I'm a moving meditator and I get very inspired when I'm exercising or I'm doing something that it's not at the computer. Because when I'm at the computer, I am in work mode, so I don't tend to be as creative as I'd like to be. So I tend to transcribe or I talk into my phone in notes, and then I'm able to later take that and either bullet point it or write something. And because I am a contributing writer to a couple of different magazines, I'm able to, like I know many of you guys are, but I'm able to take those quick thoughts and take from an outline, or a bullet point is what I call it, and then make a paragraph from that one bullet point. And I just do it organically. I write very real person, or I think very real person. And so that's what I want my book to be, is very real and raw, and for people to read it as if they're having a conversation. So
Yeah.
that's how my podcast is, or at least it has become.
That's the type of book I like to read, is when it just sounds like a conversation. I think, Laura, you really talk about that a lot, because part of Laura's thing is like, forget everything you learned in AP style class. Like, she's still going to use the Oxford comma, you guys, but you're not going to start with a topic sentence and then in conclusion, right? So can you tell us a little bit about that? Like,
I mean, my background is definitely like academic nerd. Give me a syllabus and I'll figure out how to get an A. That's maybe similar to Jennifer too. Like, my family was an entrepreneur and entrepreneurial, and actually neither of my birth parents even went to college. So to them, they were like, the solution to life and success, so you don't have to work so hard like we did and struggle, is through education. Okay, the world's a little different now, I would argue. But that was the best advice that they had at the time. And I was like, okay. And so I did it. And then I read Rich Dad Poor Dad at age 21 and was like, oh, life is different now. Anyway, so the point of that is, I was very well trained in academia for academic writing, as in like, a paragraph must have at least 4 sentences, and you need to use really big words to like show off how smart you are. And really, you kind of just ramble to like get the word count up, because you just like, it's almost like volume proves that you're intellectual. Anyway, my first company that I started after I was a teacher for a while was a tutoring and test prep company, and I had a business partner, and I used to edit out the contractions that he would write in emails to clients. So it's like how obsessed I was about like perfect grammar. It needs to say do not don't, to emails to clients. Like, okay, I'm completely off of that now. I add contractions in now to make it sound more like conversational voice. I still believe you need to have things spell checked and edited. But I no longer believe, for example, in having like long blobs of text. So it depends on the screen for which that it shows. So if you're writing a Facebook message, I probably put like 1 line per paragraph, because I want it to be easy to scan. If it's on a bigger thing, then maybe a couple more sentences per paragraph might be okay. But I like to make things very visually broken up and have a lot more white space for things to breathe. So yeah, I'm a big proponent of that. I do not care how many sentences are in something to count it as a paragraph. I also like dots. I do that all the time in my writing. I don't know. I'm a little bit more loose on some of the rules of writing, even with books. I kind of believe it's like, 1, if you know the rules, then you're allowed to break them if you choose to stylistically. And 2, oh, now I'm losing my train of thought here. Oh, shoot. I totally forgot what my number 2 was going to be. But I think, the other number 2 is be consistent. So whether or not you choose the Oxford comma, you should. But let's say you do. Whether or not you
Tell
do.
us how you really feel.
I'm like starting to make like little shirts and stuff. So I made this shirt asking about my best-selling book. I think it'd be great for introverts as well. Like, you could wear it around. But I have a shirt that says, if you don't use the Oxford comma, we can't be friends, or something like that. Anyway, so it's not out yet, but I'm going to totally rock that all the time. We can be friends, but I'll convince you otherwise. But anyway, like, whatever you choose, just be consistent throughout the manuscript, so that people aren't just like confused by what you do. Because I think that's the element too around writing and grammar and word choice. It's not necessarily, let's not make it necessarily like perfect academia. However, it needs to be very clear to the reader, so that they aren't rereading a sentence 5 times to figure out what the heck that you meant to say. So I think just clarity is the number 1 goal. However you get there.
I love know the rules so you can break them. I feel like that's like my mantra in life. Learn them so you can break them. Break them the right way. So we're definitely past the hour, but I'm going to stick around and keep talking to everyone who hasn't had a chance to speak yet. And just so you guys know, like we are doing the 14-week best-selling book accelerator program. It'll be online, plus you'll meet with Laura and I about twice a month in group settings just like this.
With Laura and me.
With Laura and me, with me and Laura. So my mom always taught me, I would say, me and Amy are going out, and she would say, Amy and I. And then I started learning the rules so I could break them. So Laura called me out the other day on social media, and she goes, actually, it's not Laura and I's course. It's Laura and my course. And I go, but that's not what I would say. So I'm going to break the rules. But yeah, she schooled me, you guys. So she'll school you too. And then you can decide if you want to break the rules or not. It's up to you. But I will be consistent with breaking the rules. I do agree with that. If you're going to use the number 8 instead of spelling EIGHT out, you do that. I don't care. Just be consistent. Because when you see an inconsistency, that's when you're like, But if it's consistently wrong, I don't really care.
Oh, no, I like it. I like it.
Yeah. So we will follow up with all of you about what we're going to do in the Facebook groups that you came from. If you're in Laura's group, if you're in one of my groups, we will be following up with how to join us. We're going to do 14 weeks on writing your best-selling book. We're going to write those books together. And we're going to stagger our release date. So if you need a little more time, you get a little more time. If you need a little less time, you're an overachiever like me, like Kelsey over here. Chris, is she still on the call? Overachievers United. Marissa is not on the call tonight because she told me she wasn't ready to write her book, but she's already written books. So anyways, if you want to be first, if you want to be last, it's all good. We'll stagger the releases, and then we'll all support each other. So you're like, oh, I need that best-selling book status. Well, we're all going to help you get there. And you're going to have accountability so that you can't be like, I Netflix and chill tonight and didn't write my chapters. You get that once. But then next time you're going to be like, damn, I have to tell all these people I didn't write my chapters. Then you're going to go write your chapters or whatever it is that you committed to doing in that 1 week period or in that 1 month period or whatever it is. So we're going to keep you accountable. We're going to do this together. Those that need more time, you get a little more time. Those that need less time, you get a little less time. So we will stagger it, but we'll still be doing it together. Does that make sense? All right. So feel free to keep hanging out. If you got to hop off, but I'm going to keep talking to whoever's here. So who have we not heard from? Sharon and friend. Sharon.
Had to unmute.
No problem.
You unmute me.
There you go. I hear you.
So, my book is, well, I don't have the book yet, but my idea for the book is it's based on 4 years of my life. But my big thing has been how to protect the idea, because I don't talk about it with many people because I feel like somebody can steal the idea and create a book themselves from my story. So is there a way you can copyright it before?
Yep.
So that's been my thing, is kind of making sure the idea is protected.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah. Let me I'll put a link in the thing after I say this out loud so I don't try to multitask. But one of my good friends, he has settled over $1 billion in claims for his clients on copyright IP infringement. He's like one of the best in the world. And he has a free Facebook group where he answers specific questions. So that could be a great place to get started going in the right direction, because he's far more expert than I am in that. And I'm sure there's nuances around it too that, you can't explain in like 1 minute with us. But yeah, let me get you a link to his free Facebook group. And I'll even you can ping me. Laura said to ask this, and he will totally help. He's awesome.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure.
And that's it for me. That's pretty much the only that. Gained some insight, so that's good. I've been kind of in the perfectionist mode and not moving forward too quickly. So there's that.
I get it. I'm a perfectionist.
I appreciate your help and your insight.
Well, we're glad to have you here, Sharon. And I will say that if, let's say you join the group, because no matter what, you want the accountability, but you're like, I'm still scared to share my idea. That's okay. You can have everyone sign a non-disclosure agreement so that we can only talk about it in groups such as this, right? So there's a way around this so that you can feel super comfortable about sharing whatever it is that you're worried about. The other thing I will say, and I'm not a lawyer, so consult your attorney before using this advice. However, this is what we're taught in film school. It's called poor man's copyright. Anything that is your intellectual property that you do not feel like spending all the time on copywriting and trademarking, you write it, maybe have a manuscript or an outline or a name, and then you mail it to yourself, and then you have it postmarked exactly what it is, and then you never open it. That is admissible in a court of law. So you can say, shock everyone in the courtroom when they open up your thing that it was originally your idea. Now the person over here is making billions of dollars off of it, right? It's like a movie. But that is poor man's copyright. I'm sure Jason, as Laura mentioned, has better ideas, but that's something anyone can do right now. You write down your idea, you write down your chapters, you write down the name of it, and you do poor man's copyright. And that's how you get your screenplay not stolen by Hollywood. Because think about all of the people that send out their screenplays to be read by Hollywood agents, and they're like, oh my God, my movie was made. Well, they didn't have enough money, enough time, money, all the things to trademark it. They didn't have big lawyers behind them. This is something that could make them get millions of dollars from the movie that was made because some assistant did take their idea. You know, it happens. So that's poor man's copyright. Laura, I'm sorry, you were going to say something. And you probably don't approve of what I just said.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Me?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I thought you were like, wait, but maybe I'm wrong.
No. I'm sorry. I was also typing. So my brain is like slightly distracted because I was like pulling up the link for the thing. So I don't know about that. I would say, yeah, definitely continue to get advice from people who do it day in and day out, just so you know for sure. But yeah.
Okay.
All right, 2 people we have not heard from I would love to hear from. So whoever unmutes yourself first, Chris and Sean, hello.
Hello.
Sean. Yes, how are you?
I am not a writer, I'm a designer. Allison and Laura invited me on to talk about that. So I did want to say I just designed a children's book.
Oh,
for an author who's in high school. It's super cute. It's ABCs of golf, so it's just for little kids to teach them about golf.
Aww.
And it was super fun to work on, and it's on Amazon.
That's cool.
And I did this one also recently for an estate planning attorney.
Nice.
So this was totally the opposite of the children's book, full of text and nothing else. So I help people take it from manuscript to Amazon. So with the cover and all the insides and everything, just how you like it. So that's what I do. So,
this is a good resource.
He loves Zoom calls.
What's his name?
Thank you for inviting me on. It's so inspiring to meet all you authors. I couldn't imagine writing a book. I could imagine it, but I don't think I would enjoy it.
But you're
still to write, but not long form stuff. So.
Well, you're providing a much needed service. And what's that kitty's name?
This is Dash.
So cute. Look at that face.
Sit on my lap while I'm working.
What a cutie. All right. Well, yeah, Sean, feel free to let everyone know. Join. I know I was introduced to you by Carla on email. So what Laura and I will do is we'll email you back the links to our Facebook group so you can join the Facebook groups.
Great.
And let everyone know about your services. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I'm an artist as well. I draw. So I do draw portraits on commission. So
beautiful.
That's the other thing that I do. So
I love that. Yeah, we would love to see your work in some of the groups.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks very much for having me on.
Yeah. Chris, what's going on?
I don't have anything to say. I just wanted to see everybody's face.
Well, you've written a book. Do you have any advice for you've written multiple books?
I've written 2 books. The only advice I have is just fucking do it and get over it. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, you might be writing the next New York Times bestseller, but you might not be, and at least you can say that you did it. So we all have something to say. Just freaking say it. And that's all I have to say about that.
I'm glad we ended on you. Just do it. Bye.
Yeah, wait.
Yeah,
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, how do I get your information? Because I was just invited to this happy hour and I don't have any of your Facebook information or anything like that. Will you email it to me?
For sure. All right. So when you signed up for this call, you entered your email address, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So I will email everyone all of the resources after the call, how to get in touch with myself, how to get in touch with Laura, how to join our 14-week program, how to just join our free Facebook groups, all of the things.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes, of course. No problem. So glad to
So I
have you.
have a question. So I'm the other person next to Sharon. So I'm a friend of Diana's, who I think is a friend of Janice's, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so she's the one that kind of introduced this option for us today. So when Sharon joined, she just put her email in, and then we're on the call with you on her phone. But I didn't enter my email. How do I get it to you?
Here, can you put it in the chat and then I'll copy and paste it to myself? Do you mind?
Sure, no problem.
Great, and then I'll just add you to the master list.
Okay.
Yes, so I will not hang up the call until I see your email. What was your name?
It's Rhonda.
Rhonda. Okay, great. So yeah, just put your email list, your email in the chat. All right, any other questions? Anything else? Burning desires to chat about tonight?
I want to see Diana's shirt before we go to.
What does it say, Diana?
Oh, on Wednesdays we wear pink.
Oh, that's so cute.
Mean Girls.
The original Mean Girls.
I got a story about that too. Senior princesses.
Something happened with
That's a really good story.
I'm missing. I'm about to, I think.
Oh yeah, I was talking with June. June private messaged me. He said that Lambo Laura needs a book. I don't know if any of you guys are connected with me on Facebook, but I made like a spoof video about like making fun of the marketers who are just like, you'll make $1 billion if you sign up tomorrow or whatever. So my alter ego.
And how do they follow you on TikTok?
Oh yeah, well yeah. So I'm on social media. I'm at Laptop Laura on all the different things. And then in Facebook, I do have a Laptop Laura on Facebook, but it's like the business page. But like if you want to connect with me personally, absolutely do. I think if you type in Laura P23, that's how you could find it because it's attached to like my old email, like from when I was a kid. But I mean, if you're connected with Allison too, then you'll find us and everything. So
yeah, I need to do my character as well, but I need to get some fake nails to put in.
Diana, wait, I want to see yours. Are you on yet?
She hasn't made one.
No. I mean,
okay. She's going
I need to order fake nails for it for my character.
I can't wait.
And yeah, so I need to. It's gonna take a while, but
you should pin your character against Laura's penis.
That's what I told her. I was like, we need to have a rivalry where I'd be like,
a battle, yeah.
Yeah, because I was building up the character like 2 months ago, but I was actually trying to find a guy so it could actually be like a bro thing.
Yeah.
And I would fight.
I think you should do it with everyone. Girl, boy, everyone. It would be really funny.
What's your name going to be? Like Diamond Diana?
No. I don't know.
I don't know yet. Diva Diana?
It has to be super ridiculous.
Yeah.
For sure, long nails.
That's awesome.
Like this long.
Oh my God.
Like that, yes.
How do you even get those?
Well, I think you can just, there's like stickers you can just stick on.
Like at Amazon or something.
Okay, I'm waiting for this video.
Is this your main income or side hustle? What are you referring to, Charlie?
Just all of it. The books, the podcasts, the classes. Is this your main job, or is this something you're doing on the side until it creates enough revenue to become your main job? What does that look like for y'all?
Food Heals, the sign behind me, is my main career, and it is multiple things. It is a podcast, and now it's a book. So I have multiple income streams that come from Food Heals, like online classes, individual coaching. I have a group mastermind that some of these ladies are members of, like Diana, who's still with us. And income from the podcast is like affiliates and sponsorships and things like that. So the book is not my full-time gig, but all of the things from the brand is my full-time gig.
Yeah, similarly too. Like I have private clients, I have a group program, like group consulting coaching program with books, basically like what Allie and I are going to do together. I've got something that's evergreen, people can join anytime, but we're just doing like a special one, kind of combining our audiences in a fun way. And yeah, I have a podcast, I have 2 books and like a million more in my head. And all those are just feeding into the brand of me. But right now the income comes from private clients and the group program primarily.
I would love to collaborate with y'all because I actually have a children's book that I want to turn into a movie. So,
Ooh, interesting.
I mean, I don't want to take up other people's time, but I would love to talk to y'all about it and just hear what you think.
That's cool.
For sure. Yeah, like well tonight I think we're going to wrap things up because I know Laura's got a baby, but we're happy to continue the conversation. And when you join, we're going to do, if you decide to join the best-selling book accelerator, then yeah, you can have that time with us to talk about it. And we can always brainstorm in the Facebook groups, and we like, even in some of our groups, we just make each other videos. We're like, what do you guys think about this? And like, we all give feedback and stuff like that. So there's lots of ways that we can, you know, help each other out, and we'd love to hear more about what you're doing.
And Allie has a film that went to Cannes. Where was it?
Last year, my film Powered by Plants went to the French Riviera Fest at Cannes. So it's kind of like the slam dance of Sundance, if you know what that is. And then this year I was going to go back, and obviously can't do it now. So sad. But yeah, I know a little bit about filmmaking. I think people assume that once you've done a film or two, or once, because I do have a background in film, that you know everything and you can get your shit on Netflix. No, it's not. I don't. But I can tell you I'm happy to share what I know.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Now it was just a complete like I did not know, like it was a complete
Cool.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for sharing that.
Hey.
I love it.
What's your name?
Queen Ray Cameron.
Her name is Quinn Ray Cameron. She calls herself Quinny the Ray Ray.
Quinny the Ray Ray. I am so impressed.
That's amazing. I love that.
Name. I think that we're soul sisters, and I want to be your friend. I'm going to call myself Quinny the Ray Ray.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Diana's gonna call herself Quinny the Ray Ray on her TikTok.
On my character, Ray Ray.
Good.
All right, guys, I have to run.
Yeah, me too.
It was so good connecting with you.
It's so good to see everyone. Bye, guys. Have a great night.
Bye.